So this is a brief report of how two US pilots were rescued from Iranian territory. So this is how downed US pilots in Iran stayed hidden and connected until they were rescued. The moment the F-15E Strike Eagle was hit by a Russian Mach 2.8 missile with proximity fuse, 2 clocks started ticking for the 2-man crew. Both ejected successfully. The pilot was recovered relatively quickly. The Weapons Systems Officer (WSO), the second airman, landed alone deep in enemy territory and began the 48-hour ordeal that will become one of the most detailed combat rescue cases on record. Now, the first the immediate evasion and staying hidden. This is our 0 to 12. They have 48 hours. After 48 hours without water, without food, they will get weakened and then they can't move. So the WSO gathered his survival gear, deliberately ditched the bright parachute visible from his eyes from the air and ground, and moved on foot away from the wreckage and his exact parachute landing point. He used classic SERE: survival, evasion, resistance, escape training. Moved undetected, avoid obvious stress, find water without leaving signs, and navigate without relying on GPS that could be jammed or triangulated. He climbed to an elevated ridge in the mountainous, forested, uninhabited terrain near Dedas. The raw landscape and thick forest bought him critical hours. Iranian forces and regime supporting villagers could not reach him in time despite deploying search teams within minutes. Enemy reaction was fast. IRGC units and thousands of Iranian civilians joined the hunt, but the WSO stayed silent and mobile, never lingering near the crash site. Staying connected without being tracked, the CSEL device. The pilot was never truly cut off. He carried the CSEL, Combat Survivor Evader Locator, a Boeing-built rugged unit strapped to his survival vest that survives high G ejection. Instead of voice radio, which is easy to direction find, the CSEL sent short encrypted data bursts via frequency hopping signals that appear as random background noise to Iranian listening posts. Each burst contained current location, survival status, alive, injured, enemy nearby, and minimal test. The device automatically linked to military satellites, feeding real-time data to US rescue planners while the pilot remained completely silent on voice channels. Only when extraction helicopters or aircraft were minutes away did the CSEL switch to a precision mode so rescuers could lock onto his exact position on the ridge. This digital data allowed the WSO to stay hidden for nearly 2 full days while US forces knew exactly where he was and that he was still alive. How the US pilot and the rescue force deceived the Iranians. The pilot's own deception was passive but effective. By moving immediately off the parachute landing point and climbing the ridge before activating the beacon, he forced Iranian search teams to waste time at the wrong location. He transmitted only short encrypted bursts, never voice, so Iranian electronic warfare teams could not easily triangulate him. He used the uninhabited terrain to stay invisible. Regime supporting villagers and IRGC teams repeatedly failed to close the distance. Simultaneously, the CIA ran an active influence and deception operation while the rescue was still underway. US intelligence deliberately spread false reports among Iranian networks and local populations that the pilot had already been rescued. That was why, in fact, some report had it that the pilot has been captured, some report had it that the pilot has been rescued. So the fake news was all over the place. This created confusion and slowed the Iranian response, even as American C-130S were landing commandos 250 kilometers inside Iranian territory at an improvised desert airfield. When Basij militia units approached the extraction zone and threatened the rescue team, they were destroyed from the air. At least 9 Iranian fatalities were reported. Nearby Iranian broadcast stations and transmitters in Damascus were also struck from the air to disrupt regime communications and further so coerce the extraction. The 48-hour rescue peak. 2 American C-130 transport planes carrying commando forces landed at the improvised airfield. The WSO was located on the ground, moved to the extraction point, and prepared for pickup. The CS-130's wheel then became stuck in soft sand, preventing takeoff. Additional US transport aircraft were rushed in to extract everyone. The 2 stranded C-130s were deliberately bombed and destroyed by US aircraft so they would not fall into Iranian hands. Iranian media claimed they shot them down, which was untrue. The US forces destroyed it so that Iranian forces or media will not lay hold on it. All US forces and the rescue WSO lifted off and landed safely at a base in Kuwait, 250 kilometers away. What's the result? Both F-15E crew members plus 2 more airmen from separate A-10 incident were recovered alive after a 48-hour operation inside hostile territory. 13,000 combat sorties into the conflict at that point. The combination of immediate SERE movement, the terrain's natural concealment, the ultra-low signature CSEL bust, and the CIA's deception campaign kept the downed pilot hidden and digitally connected until the final nighttime extraction. Note. So this is what I call one of the most sophisticated rescue operation in recent history. I don't think, apart from what the US did, maybe Israel, I don't think there's any nation that could carry out such rescue operation. Here is what Donald Trump tweeted. We got him. Fellow Americans, over the past several hours, the United States military pulled off one of the most daring search and rescue operations in US history. For one of our incredible crew members, who also happens to be a highly respected colonel, and who I am thrilled to let you know is now safe and sound. This brave warrior was behind enemy lines in the treacherous mountains of Iran, being hunted down by our enemies who were getting closer and closer by the hour, but was never truly alone because his Commander-in-Chief, Secretary of War, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and fellow war fighters were monitoring his location 24 hours a day and diligently planning for his rescue. At my direction, the US military sent dozens of aircraft armed with the most lethal weapons in the world to retrieve him. He sustained injuries, but he will be just fine. This miraculous search and rescue operations comes in addition to a successful rescue of another brave pilot yesterday, which we did not confirm because we did not want to jeopardize our second rescue operation. This is the first time in military memory that 2 US pilots have been rescued separately deep in enemy territory. We will never leave an American warfighter behind. The fact that we were able to pull off both these operations without a single American killed or even wounded just proves once again that we have achieved overwhelming air dominance and superiority over the Iranian skies. This is a moment that all Americans, Republican, Democrat, and everyone else should be proud of and united around. We truly have the best, most professional and leader military in the history of the world. God bless America. God bless our troops. And happy Easter to you all. And then also his, let me say his partner, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, also had to congratulate Donald Trump. He said, I congratulate Donald Trump on the rescue of a brave American pilot by America's courageous warriors. All Israelis rejoice in this remarkable operation. It proves that when free societies act with courage and determination, they can overcome the forces of darkness and terror. This operation reinforces a sacred principle. No one is left behind. As someone who was wounded in such a mission and lost my brother in the Entebbe rescue, I know what a bold decision this was. My dear friend, once again, your leadership brought a great victory to America. So he was rescued, and I've seen quite a whole lot of videos, Iranian media going to the crash site, saying that they were the ones that shot it down. Even if you shot 30,000 down, there is no casualty. You claim to have shot the helicopter or the firefighter jet down. Where is the casualty? You don't have them. They went down there, the gallant soldiers went down there and picked their servicemen, and off they go. And when they left, then in the Iranian media, all of that saying we shot it down. When you shot it, where is the man driving the where is the soldier or the serviceman driving the helicopter or the aircraft? He's been rescued, he's been taken off. So I think there's no point escalating this war. Iran should just find a way of ending this war with US. This war is leading to, the whole the whole world is now getting affected. They just need to negotiate with US. In war, no one wins. Everyone loses. The US is losing money. They are losing their equipment, losing huge amount of money in dollars, millions or billions of dollars. Iran is losing as well. Before they could, let's say they come to table and negotiate, how many years will it take them to rebuild all these damaged facilities? It will take years. So it's in their best, I think it is in the best interest of Iran to negotiate. In war, no one wins, everyone loses. So it's time for them to negotiate.